Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 58. It's Thursday, so we've got Jim F0123 Art on with us, and yeah, let's get into it. How you doing, Jim?
I am doing okay. How about you?
Not bad. I'm alive.
Yeah. Good to know. Good to know.
Before we get into the episode today, I want to tell you about something that I was made aware of yesterday.
Okay.
So, a couple out of Goffstown, New Hampshire,
Okay.
was arrested
Oh.
and charged with lots of crimes.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you what they did.
Oh, here we go.
These people work at Harvard University.
Oh. Oh, okay. So this is interesting.
In the morgue.
In the morgue.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they have the medical.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they have cadavers. And they were selling body parts.
Oh. Okay.
They were selling body parts.
Great. Yeah.
For 5 years, this was going on.
Wow.
So my partner's the one that made me aware of this.
Yeah.
She works at the hospital.
Sure,
So,
right.
Generally after work, we'll be talking about her day, and I
Yeah.
usually get medical stories.
Sure.
This couple, for 5 years, has been, they bring in the cadavers for the new students and everything so they can dissect them and all that stuff. They've been skimming. They've been taking faces. They've been taking heads.
Wow.
Organs of all sorts. So she's telling me this, and my first question is not, how could someone do this at this point? Yeah.
Right.
Who's buying this shit?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. Who are they selling it
right.
to, and
so
for
that
what
was my,
reason?
Right, because I'm thinking to myself, like, I can understand harvesting organs.
Right.
But you're not doing that, unless you have an operation. You're not doing that shit. You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
So I'm thinking, like, who would want, like, old fucking organs that are useless? Because they are. I mean,
Right.
you can't.
Yeah,
what are you
at
going
that
to do with
point.
them?
Right.
They're selling them to, like, oddities people.
Just for people to display them
Yeah,
as
like, people like to have, like, a human skull.
Yeah.
Or people like, this one woman. So they charged a bunch, like, 4 or 5 other people.
Okay.
Right, in connection with all of this. And this one woman had a business called, like, whatever her name was, Creepy Creations or something. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of close to us.
Yeah, right.
But she bought 2 faces.
Oh, nice.
For $600.
Nice. Okay.
So that's, hey, $300 for a face is a deal.
That is a good deal.
But I'm thinking to myself, like, what the fuck are you doing with a face? Like, how do you justify buying a human face?
Right. I mean, I get that you're going to get like this dummy and you're going to put the face on it and that's going to be one of your displays and you're probably going to advertise that that's a true, human face
Right.
and
like,
that's going to be your allure to come in.
I've been to oddity stores. They are fun.
Sure.
They're kitschy or whatever,
Right.
but they're fun. But again, like, you can't be buying human. And the wildest part of this story, right, is that a lot of the parts were shipped all over the country through the post office.
Oh, nice.
I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't think you should be able to ship a head through the post office.
You should not be able
right.
to.
It should be, like, harder to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, but since they probably had it packaged and no one's going to open the package to look into it.
I suppose it just seems insane to me.
It is. That is.
And so they showed a picture of their license plates, right? I probably shouldn't dox them, but I'm gonna. Fuck it. It's in the news.
Yeah.
It was like Dark Shadows and Grim Reaper.
Nice.
And it's just like, don't lean into it don't give away the game.
Yeah, like how are you going to defend yourself at that point that, it wasn't us, really?
We live in extraordinary times.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because I heard this story and I was like, yeah, that's pretty par for the course. Like, that would have shocked me 20 years ago.
Yeah, nowadays that's not. It's shocking in the fact that, some, not what they did, just the whole idea that they came up with this scheme to do this.
Like, what? You're having fucking dinner with your wife and you're just like, we should sell We should sell, like, or you went on vacation and there was an oddity store and you're like, we could probably sell some faces.
Yeah, but then how do the two parties meet up? Like, how does that match? How do you contact?
It's got to be dark web shit,
yeah,
right? Like, I can't imagine there's, like, it's not like you can go on Amazon and order a face.
Yeah, that has to be a crazy email. Hey, we have faces for sale. You interested? I've been looking for a human face for a while now.
Yeah, like, this is my guy. Yeah, I got a face guy.
Yeah.
I just... And, like, how did they find out? It gave me more questions than answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's going on. So they've been arrested. They're being charged.
Good.
Obviously, Harvard fired them.
Of course.
As you do.
Yeah.
You can't be selling.
Yeah, of course.
But I just, I heard that yesterday, and I thought we could just talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's great. That is great.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
Have you seen anything?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have watched a few movies. Again, I'll briefly touch on them. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but watch The Evil Dead, the original.
With Bruce?
With Bruce.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen the new one yet, so I wanted to go back and watch the original to prepare myself to watch the new one.
You know what's nice about the original is that it was done on such a low budget, and they were so creative that a lot of it still holds up.
It does, and I mean, again, it's camp, right?
Right.
I mean, but the thing is, it's such an enjoyable movie. I mean,
it's just fun.
It doesn't take itself serious.
No,
it's just fun. It is
right. There's a cut. Look, even skirting the political correctness of everything. There's only like one or two scenes in there that you go, oof, you wouldn't do that today.
Right.
But like aside from that, it's just a fun romp in the woods.
Yeah. And then, that leads into the next camp, which is Terrifier 2.
Oh.
Which, again, I'm all about these movies.
Art the Clown is a horror icon.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you watch these movies and it's like, I don't know, there's just some sort of pleasure, enjoyment that you get out of it that is different from other horror movies.
Yeah, because there's just, what it is it's so over the top.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you didn't lean into the insanity of it, it would just be grotesque.
Right. But I mean, when he starts laughing and he's silently laughing, like, you laugh with him. Like, you are laughing with him while doing it.
The thing that makes Art so incredible is that he doesn't speak.
Right.
And to have a character, aside from Jason.
Yeah.
And I give a lot of props to Kane Hodder with the body language on that. To have a character that has the vocals of Jason with the personality of Freddy Krueger is insane.
Right. I mean, it's such a fun, serving the kids the Halloween candy out of the head.
Oh, it was so good.
You know what I mean? And then he gets mad at that one kid. You know what I mean? He's smiling and having a great time, and then all of a sudden he is able to change immediately, then immediately changes right back.
Right. There's always that danger underneath.
Right. And it's like, but when he's smiling and laughing, you're taking it like, oh, this is fun. This guy is fun.
Even when he's in the Halloween store and there's that tension there.
Yep.
And he takes the horn and it just slowly comes into frame.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious, right?
It is.
And it cuts the tension. So it's not like you have this huge buildup of being anxious.
Right.
Because it's just like, oh, what's he going to do next?
And then immediately he's absolutely brutalizing
like
somebody. Tearing someone apart. And then again, he's laughing silently laughing hysterically while doing it.
The only thing, I think it was too long.
Yeah, it was too long.
And what I think they could have cut out were like those weird dream sequences.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could have cut out
there was over 30 minutes of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the family, those parts of it, we could have cut down that quite a bit.
We didn't need any of that. But I will tell you, it is a testament to Damien Leone. Like, he has created like one of the greatest horror icons of this generation.
Yeah. without
if not
a doubt,
the horror icon.
There's no doubt about it. And then I watched Pearl.
Oh, you gave the X genre another chance?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to see, the prequel.
Yeah. Pearl, I would say, is better than X.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I'll watch the third one
Sure.
because, I'm invested at this point now. And again, it was better. I mean, seeing her, her whole descent into the madness, and that having that issue with abandonment and the issue with if anybody, does something better than me, I have a jealousy that you're not going to outdo me or leave
just like
me,
her
or
facial expressions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that whole
that's
ending.
one of those things where you have to watch it after. Some prequels you can watch, before. That one you have to watch X first.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that obviously I don't quite understand, so obviously the husband comes home from the army, right?
Yep.
He sees what she's done and what she's become.
Right.
But how did he become?
Well, maybe I just assumed he was over there, did some atrocities or some shit like that, and he snapped. That was just like the push over the edge.
I would have to say that when he saw what happened, PTSD set into him, and then that's why he became what he became.
Right, because he thought he was coming home to he thought he was leaving the bloodshed.
Right, and he was coming home to a loving wife and a happy family, and he comes home to that, and it's, but.
And that stare, huh?
Yeah. Oh, that was like I'm sitting
there
like
the scariest part of the fucking movie,
and I'm like, wow, she can really hold that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty good. I'll give her a lot of credit.
Mia Goth, we're gonna see lots
I think so.
And lots more.
I think
of her.
so. I mean, I know they've mentioned that they're trying to get her into the MCU. I would imagine that's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, everybody's got to play a superhero,
right? But I mean, again, I saw those three movies. I'm saying I recommend all three of those.
That's rare form for you.
Yeah.
To catch three in a row that you like.
Yeah.
That's
The
rare.
Evil Dead is obvious. That's obvious.
That's a
you know what I mean? Obviously.
That's a layup.
Right, that's the layup. The other two, I wasn't sure of, but I mean, again, after watching the Terrifier one, I pretty much knew. But you know how sometimes sequels go, but damn.
It's better. It is better than the first one.
It's better, and I can't wait for the third of
me neither. I'm very excited.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
So I actually watched Across the Spiderverse.
Oh, you did? Okay, what do you think?
So, did you see the first one?
Yes, I've seen the first one.
So, let me tell a quick story. So, when that came out, right, I was like, this isn't going to be, it's a kid's movie. It's not going to be for me. I fucking love the first movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It really was. And then the second one came out, and I said, and it's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, so it's long as well.
And I said, I saw what they were doing. I don't need I'm not going to dig this one. I fucking loved it.
Did you?
It is
okay.
It has so much heart.
It does, okay.
And here's the insane part of it, is that there were no concessions. There really weren't, because it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, and there's a part two. So you're talking about, they had a 5 hour movie.
Right.
So it had the art styles are incredible.
Yeah.
Right? From the different worlds and stuff. This one's definitely a little more experimental, but the voice cast was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The story's great.
Yep.
And just the amount of heart, right? The only thing that was weird was pregnant Spider-Woman.
Right.
And it was only weird because, she was pregnant. That to me, and they said something about, they made a comment at the beginning. Right?
Okay.
Just we don't know what we're having or whatever. I wish I could keep my hands off my husband, but he's so damn sexy or something. And then they didn't mention it again. But what bothered me was, it was just distracting because she would do stunts and shit. And I'm like, that is so unsafe for the child. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of odd that you would be, kind of okay with doing those. I mean, again, no one's saying you can't do physical activities, but to that level.
Right, you're fighting super villains.
Right, that's a little bit
So,
much.
Like that, I thought was odd, but like Gwen was great. I'm getting really on board with how they're shaping this universe to be. They had like an Indian Spider-Man, which I thought was awesome, and they did this thing where they kind of rolled jokes into it, where like he would say, one of the jokes was like, "I love chai tea," right? And the Indian Spider-Man's like, chai means tea, so you're just saying tea. Like things like that we wouldn't actually like know.
Sure.
And I was like, that's educating people about culture without being, obnoxious about it.
You're not preaching to somebody.
No.
You're just, doing it in a subtle way.
And then, like I said, there was a lot of heart to this movie. Miles is great again, as always.
Yeah.
Miguel O'Hara. Oscar Isaac's doing the voice. Like, you're not going to lose. And what as I'm watching it, right, because there is a good amount of men and women Spider-Mans. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this works because nobody's better than anybody else.
Right.
It's all Spider-Man.
Yeah, which is my in a totality, that's one of my biggest issues, is I think they're how could there be so many Spider-Men? Because this isn't variants of Peter Parker.
No.
There's too many Spider-Men.
Yeah, it's
for me, like, this many people are able to be this superhero. I don't like that. I don't like when Marvel, when Marvel did this, I never liked it
but here's
from the beginning.
Thing, is that if we're going to do multiverse shit, it makes sense.
Sure.
There's an infinite number of universes. Do I think it works as a story? I think it is very busy.
Right.
And the fact that they all congregate in one space, I don't care for that.
Sure.
Like, that doesn't make sense. They wouldn't do that.
Right.
But I was really, really, when it ended, I looked at the because I got, they gave us a copy. I looked at the runtime, and I'm like, that was 2 hours 20. And I'm waiting for, like, I'm not done. Like, what the fuck? Where's the other half?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's doing really well, in the theaters. It's
got
making
high
good
critic
money.
choice. It's got high audience.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, I think what's frustrating as someone that, lives in the creative sphere is that this is something that I would argue is inclusive of everyone. Yeah. And is fantastic because it's well written. You have a great plot. They use the Spot as the villain.
Yeah.
Talk about a C fucking villain.
Right.
But he's great.
Right. But the thing is, these are, the thing of what makes this work.
Yeah.
Is it's inclusive.
Right.
But they're not.
No, it's true inclusivity though.
Right. But all of these characters are their own fleshed out characters.
Sure.
They're not just Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man in different shades of skin tone.
Well, it's not even just that, right? It's that nobody's, aside from Miguel, right, which is to be expected out of his character, because we know who he is.
Right.
Nobody's being a dick to any of the other Spider-Men.
No.
And that's the thing, is like, a lot of times what we're seeing now is that a character comes in and they're like, I'm better than you are, and if you think anything else, I'm going to shit on you.
Right, but but the thing that makes this work is they're Spider-Man.
Right.
And you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so we're equals. You're a Spider-Man, I'm a Spider-Man.
They do the point thing at the humor was on point. They had some scenes from the live action movie.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It had so, like, what's crazy to me is that I don't know how the same company drops that and puts out Morbius. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, it doesn't, because again, I think that you can do certain things in animation that you can't in live action, obviously.
Sure, fair point.
And I think that, you can I think that you can be a little bit more free in animation, right?
But from a storytelling standpoint, right? Like, there shouldn't be, at the end of the day, like, the strength of the writing, it doesn't matter what the medium is.
Yeah, but no, I agree, but it's what you're writing about that matters, right? Spider-Man there's a lot of story to tell, and you've got an A-list character, right?
Sure.
Morbius, you know, even Venom, right? It's an, you know, it's
Spot pops into the Venom.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he goes to the convenience store
Nice.
and he's like talking to the lady.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at him. He's like, "Aren't you freaking out? I just popped through a wormhole." And she's like, "No, I see shit like this every day."
Right. No, exactly. But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Even Venom, as much as he's an A-list character, isn't Spider-Man, right?
So it's hard to tell, like, you know, multiple stories.
Yeah. So, you know, again, do I think it's easier to write Spider-Man? Yes. I believe that Spider-Man is going to be much like Batman, right?
Right.
Easier characters to write than anyone else.
I guess my point to it is that you're writing about Spider-Man who's not Peter Parker.
Right.
Right. And you're still nailing it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that it doesn't have to be Peter Parker.
No, it doesn't. And that's what, you know, one of the things that makes, and again, I don't like the amount of Spider-Men.
That's too many for you.
However, every one of them is successful in their own way because they've all been fleshed out individually. You know, Spider-Man 2099 to Ben Reilly, to Miles Morales, to Spider-Gwen. They're all Spider people.
I got to tell you,
they're all different.
The Ben Reilly shit was fucking hilarious.
Well, yeah.
Oh my god, because he's tortured, you know. So you get all that.
But you know, that's the thing. They're all the same character, but they're not Peter Parker. They're all tremendously different.
Right. It was just so refreshing, you know, to see something that, because a lot of times what'll happen now, and I've said this to you, because of how divided everyone is and the way the pendulum swings, you either get fake inclusivity, which ends up being like woke bullshit,
right?
Or, you know, you get something that's not inclusive, and then it ends up suffering from that. But it's, you know, it's so far to the right side of things that, like, it loses a lot.
Right.
Like, there's no, but this felt like a good balance, you know?
Right. But, you know, because the fact that 90% of those characters exist.
Right.
They weren't made for this movie.
They didn't change.
They have years of lore behind them.
The other thing is that, right, and maybe this is a testament to the Spider-Verse, is that they didn't make any change. It's not like, you know, you have a Miguel O'Hara and you have a Miles Morales and you have a Gwen Stacy. You know what I mean? So there's no need to change anything.
I mean, you changed Spider-Woman, which is the only one that really changed.
And I'll be honest with you, that was the weakest because that was the only point in the entire 2.5 hours where I was like, it's unnecessary.
Right. Right. You have enough inclusivity that you didn't really need to do that. But again, it's one of those things where it didn't take away from the movie.
No, I mean, the pregnancy thing was ridiculous.
Right. It's ridiculous, but thankfully the movie was so good and so well received that wasn't going to hamper it in any way.
Yeah, no, it's killing.
Yeah, it's absolutely killing. Is.
And I'm thrilled.
Yeah, me too.
And
me
so
too.
now we got Flash coming out.
Yep. Yeah, and I hope that does well. I mean,
I'm hearing pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
These are, as we've heard from DC themselves, these are dead-end projects.
Right.
We know they lead to nothing.
Right.
Because it's all going to get rebooted. So it's not going to make, I don't think it's going to make the money that it could have, because people are going to be like, well, why am I going to waste my time?
It's not an event film.
No, it's not an event film because it leads to nothing.
And it should be, because you have Michael Keaton reply.
It absolutely should be.
There's some big names.
Yeah. And I just think it's not going to do as well as it should for that reason, but I'm hoping that the movie itself is good, because I'm hoping that
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
I heard the CGI is a little wonky.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And then, you know, to be fair, that's a lot of movies nowadays. So
yeah, I know. Let's shift gears a little bit. So we lost a huge name.
We lost one of the giants.
Yeah. So obviously John Ramita Sr.
Yeah.
Passed away this week. One of the, I mean, talk about what Mary Jane.
Yeah, I mean,
Wolverine.
Again, if you're talking, as we just were talking about Spider-Man,
yeah,
I mean,
John.
It's the guy.
It is.
And again, 93 years old, so
Right, he had his run.
Right.
But still, there is that, we talked about this a year ago. There is that kind of passing of titans sort of thing.
Right. This is a true legend.
Yeah.
When
like akin to Stan Lee,
right?
Maybe not. People don't know because Stan was more in the spotlight.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're talking your Stan Lees and your Jack Kirbys and your Steve Ditkos. John Ramita Sr. is right there.
Yeah.
He's right there,
Absolutely.
rubbing shoulders.
He is.
And it's a tremendous. Now, obviously, we haven't been getting a lot work out of.
No.
We get a lot of work out of John Ramita Jr. and
Right.
he's doing a great job in his father's
Yeah,
footsteps.
He picked up the legacy.
Absolutely. But I mean, again, any of the greats that are working right now, this is the guy that they emulated.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Yeah, just a bummer. Bummer to see it.
It is.
We've had some odd people. Ray Stevens passed away.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah, just a bummer.
Yeah, it is.
Like, because it's just. But yeah, John Ramita was kind of. It's one of those things where you don't think about it, and then when you see it, it's like, Jesus, he was a titan.
Right.
Like, that is a pillar of the comic book community.
Right.
Like, even McFarlane's getting out there, and
Yeah, Jim Lee and
he's a big deal when the big boys are
right.
showing the
exactly.
and I like that.
Yeah.
Because it feels sincere.
Well, because they know that they based their work off of somebody like him. Now, obviously, their style, they've made it their own, but everybody knows the influence. If you're influenced at all
Right.
in drawing comic art, and we are,
Right. A lot of it. I like
Right.
like a lot of inking and everything.
we know that this is a guy that you're never gonna say who was that? I don't know who that is.
Right, for people who know.
Right.
And the reason I say it's so sincere is because sometimes like a big name in Hollywood will pass,
Yeah.
and like everybody's got to get their 15 minutes or whatever. But when you see the guys talking about them, like McFarlane and Lee and all
Yeah.
that, like the videos they posted, they do feel sincere. It feels like because like you said, he's kind of the granddaddy of like everyone's style kind of feeds out of.
Absolutely.
I don't know, just a
giant loss.
Shitty one on that. But I wanted to talk about it because I think more. It's one of those things where people that don't do art but love comics,
Right. Yeah. No, this is a man that deserves the respect and
he
the admiration.
Should be more in the spotlight.
Right. For sure.
So yeah, condolences to the
Right.
Ramita family, and just we'll move on. So I saw an interview recently with the director of the new indie movie.
Okay.
And again, it's getting 50s basically from the critics, and we got another couple weeks and we'll actually see what the audience score is. But someone asked him, "Hey, like, how come it's not Short Round?"
Right.
Because in theory you'd think it would be like Short Round and maybe his daughter. Would be a great way to sell it.
Makes sense.
And he said something along the lines of, well, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is challenging indie, better than anyone could or some shit. And the reason Short Round's not in it is because I didn't want another adult running around.
Yeah, what a stupid answer.
But my point to it is, right, is that you fundamentally don't understand the universe if that's your answer.
Right.
And I think a lot of these creatives are in the same boat. Like, you don't understand the universe that you're playing in. You can play in the universe, you can smash your action figures together, but
Right.
if you don't understand the rules and the laws that have been set up, anything you make is going to fail.
Well, that's the biggest problem, and again, this is why Lucasfilm fails so miserably, is because everybody that's hired with whatever IP, they don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand what came before them. They don't understand the universe, and they don't care to. That's the problem with it all, is they don't care to. They think, they're in their mind is, yeah, that came out ages ago. No one cares about that shit anymore. We got to play to this new audience and the new way the world is, and we've got to make it for the modern audience. And so there's a whole new set of rules. And everybody's telling them, no, that's the wrong way to think about it. That's not what we want for these IPs. That's not the way it works in this culture for like geekdom or whatever you want to call it. That doesn't work for us.
Right. And I said it a moment ago, like Spiderverse is a diverse movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you're hitting the quote unquote Disney checkbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you made a great film.
Right.
So you can do it.
Sure, you can. I mean, no one's saying don't have inclusivity.
No. What I'm saying though is that, I know a lot. Go woke, go broke is a very popular, but you can do it and still kill.
Right.
But only if it's authentic.
Right. But you don't have to. But it's not the inclusivity. It's the message. It's the beating, the brow-beating of trying to get the message. If you just want inclusivity, and you're true to the lore, no one has a problem with that. No one would say a word. And Spider-Verse is absolutely a blueprint of exactly that.
But it's just strange to me. And what I don't understand is that, you had an opportunity to send Indy off, the right way, bring Short Round back, who just won an Academy Award,
right.
So you can't discount him.
Right.
And, if you want to have the female lead, have it be Short Round's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's old. He's in his middle age.
Yeah, he's in his 40s.
Right.
So.
But I'm just saying, like, he's not.
Yeah, he would have a daughter.
Right. But he's not Harrison. He's not going to take up the Indy mantle.
No.
But instead, you're bringing out someone we've never heard of before,
mm-hmm.
right? Who's just. Not only is she going to trump all of Indy's accomplishments, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the trailer, she says that fucking line about capitalism.
Yeah.
It's 1960s. Nobody fucking talked like that.
Right.
Nobody talked like that.
And the thing, too, is this is Marcus Brody's daughter. Marcus Brody and Indiana Jones were the best of friends.
Right.
His daughter would not be such a disrespectful bitch to this guy.
Right.
She would love this man.
But that's where it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's just like... And this is where I think, the people that are making these lose the plot,
mm-hmm.
is that, you and I who love all of Lucas's IPs.
Right.
You watch Indiana Jones 3, 4, 5 times, you see that relationship with Marcus.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, obviously the actor passed away, so we don't even know. But you see the relationship,
mm-hmm.
and you see kind of, that they do love each other.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, so like if Marcus had a daughter... And it's Indy's the godfather,
right?
Like she's gonna love him too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what do we get?
Yeah,
not that.
No, we get the polar opposite of that.
Right. I'm better than you. You're just getting in the way.
Yeah, you're an old man. You have nothing. I'm better than you. I've always been better than you since day of birth, and you have nothing to offer me.
Yeah. So,
now, real quick. Speaking of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Karen Allen, who is Miriam, had an interview the other day.
Oh, because I think she's in it, right?
I don't know if she's in it or not. I think she's at the end, but I'm not positive.
I think at the end she might be in it.
She lives in Massachusetts.
Holy shit, really?
So if she's listening right now, we're gonna meet up and we're gonna find you, not in a creepy way.
All right, easy.
Not in a creepy way, but we're gonna find out where you are and like Karen Allen is here right down the road.
I'm surprised she doesn't do the cons and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't have...
No, she wants to live like a quiet, peaceful life, but I don't want that of her. I want to meet
you
Karen
want to dox
Allen.
her and fucking... Yeah, I bet she's pretty chill,
Yeah.
She doesn't really act, though, right? Like I think,
no, but I mean, for Christ's sakes,
Miriam
lives in the area, and we don't know this.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
listen, say what you want. We got a couple. There's a couple, spread throughout this sort of. You got King up in Maine, right? There's a couple.
Sure.
Couple of big
that
timers.
was surprising to me. So I'm like, what? We need to have her on.
I had no idea. She must live like out in the West or something.
Yeah, I don't. Again, they don't say where, and for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
because
crazy fucking people like you are gonna find her.
Well, I mean, again, she's
The thing is that after this is all over, I'd love to talk to, some, especially like someone like her who's like done.
Right.
I'd love to get her opinion on kind of how the legacy ended.
Yeah.
Because obviously she cares about the franchise.
Right. And it would be great because again, no one knew what that was going to be when that first movie came out.
Same as Star Wars. Like,
right.
They didn't know.
Right. So it's like to have her, tell the tales of, Indiana Jones. I would love to be able to sit and listen to her.
Oh my God! Have a dinner. It would be incredible.
Right.
Hear
Exactly.
the stories of old, and then maybe see what her opinion is.
Right.
Of the current state of it.
So.
Well, if anybody who's listening knows Karen, we'd
please
love to talk to her.
We'd love to have her be a part of this.
Yeah, easy though.
Yeah, not in a creepy. I don't mean to come off as being creepy. I just meant like, hey, she's in the area.
Right.
Like
it'd be an easy kind of thing to set up. What else you got for me? Got anything else?
Yeah.
Right.
So, we have a lot of boycotts going on right now.
Yeah, it's a very, it's a hot climate.
Yeah. And I just think, so I think the pendulum swung way too left for a very long time.
I agree. Like it needed to swing. Right.
It needed to swing, but I think it swung way too far to the left.
And then what ends up happening is when it goes like that, it overcorrects.
Right. And so, So in order to get to center, you have to overcompensate to go way too far to the right in order to eventually, hopefully, find center. And I think right now we've got the pendulum swinging the way too far to the right. And this is what all... Look, do I agree with all these boycotting? Yes, I do. Do I agree that it's long-term, it's the smart thing to do? No, I don't. I think it's smart in the short term to take back some of the control, because I think that it was way too much one way.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to get back to center is it has to overcompensate the other way, but it can't stay there. That's the whole problem. It stayed too far one way. It can't swing all the way over the other way and stay there. So if it's going to be for a short term, then I agree. For a short term, hit them in the pocketbooks, make it hurt, and then try to get back to center. Because I'm not looking for these companies to be put out of business. I'm not looking for any financial hardships. Again,
Right. You're not you don't want to see these companies, disappear over something like this.
No.
But here's the thing is that I think the Bud Light fiasco was a I think that was foolish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think if Bud wants to be more inclusive, that's fine.
Sure.
But you don't isolate your audience.
Right.
But
then the problem is, then you have somebody like Garth Brooks come out, right?
Yep.
He's opening up a bar on Broadway in Nashville, and he has to make a point to say, hey, I'm an inclusive guy, I always have been, and Bud Light is absolutely going to get served at my bar, and if you don't like it, go to all the other bars on the Strip. And everybody said, you got it, pal. That's exactly what we're going to do,
the
asshole.
Thing is that you could have served Bud Light and kept your fucking mouth shut, and you would have been fine. That's the problem. Just do that. Just if you want to serve Bud Light because you are not going to, join that rebellion against it, fine. Just serve it. But you have to come out and shoot your mouth off and get into the political and the cultural war. And so, yes, you're going to get boycotted now because of it. But I think it's here's what it is for me, right? Because I do think that if you can find a way to include the LGBTQIA plus community in these things, great.
Sure.
But you can't do it at the expense of another group.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But at its core, what bothers me the most is not the boycotting. It's the insincerity of the corporations.
Right.
Like, I know Target is getting they're getting
destroyed right now,
right? Because they, basically they put out Pride clothing, and they had a lot of like onesies and twosies and a bunch of stuff in the kids section. And I think a lot of people are upset. My point to it is that if you look at Target, right, 10 years ago they were, or 20 years ago they were anti-LGBTQ.
Right.
So it's like you're like a war profiteer. Like don't sit there and be like, oh, I actually care about this shit.
Right. But here's where this whole thing is just off the rails, right?
Yeah.
So the boycott, because they did the Pride clothing line for children,
right?
Obviously, the boycott happened. They're losing billions upon billions of dollars now. They obviously, pulled back because they saw what was going on.
Right.
So now they're getting bomb threats, and they're being and this is one of the states where a bomb threat for Target has been made, right? But the bomb threats are not coming from the people who are opposed to the Pride clothing. It's from the LGBTQ community that's saying we're going to bomb your stores.
It's from extremists.
Well, you're
in that
extremists.
community.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying people from that side are.
Right.
So it's not the people that want the clothing removed. It's the people that want the clothing to be there prominently. Again, these are activists that are outside.
Right, the normal sphere of people. Because the thing is, right, I think if we can all be honest with each other, right, I think that the majority of people are just trying to live.
Right.
They don't care what you're doing. They don't care if you're gay or straight or, you identify as a deer. Like, whatever you want to fucking do, man. There are extremists, right?
Right.
And what ends up happening is there's less extremists than there are normies.
Sure.
But they end up pulling people that live in the center. They, because of the way that they conduct themselves and the rhetoric and everything on both sides,
right.
They end up pulling people that are normally centrists to kind of more extreme corners than I think they normally would go.
Sure.
So it is difficult, and as far as like the kids' clothing thing goes, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to say like whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's indoctrination. I would say this. I think a kid that's gay knows he's gay.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's not like you can't say like, oh, they're teaching kids to be gay. It's like, no, I think regardless, as soon as the hormones kick in.
Yeah.
If the kid's gay, he's gay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally disagree that it should be taught in school, especially from K through 3, like they wanted to do down in Florida.
I think, to me, gay pride and gay history is important to teach.
Right. Oh,
in like a history
absolutely.
class, from a history perspective. And I think it's good to, it makes sense to, but the trouble is that it's not the beginning of this shit anymore. Like, people are used to two mommies or two daddies and things of that nature. Like, that's not shit that should be new anymore.
No, it isn't. But if you want to talk about, tolerance, and you want to talk about inclusivity, and you want to make sure that everybody understands that...
Right, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. But but the indoctrination, teaching or trying to kind of convince children of sexual preference at an early age, that is where the line should be drawn, and that should absolutely be outlawed. Which
but I don't think any sane person, right, would say that they want that. I mean,
but that was the whole bill in Florida that they did want to pass it.
I know, but that's a little more like that's too political. Like, it's just again, you're talking about politics in this generation. It is the sides, the extremists pull everything. So, like, I get it. I get that we want to, that these leftist extremists want everything to be, whatever.
Yeah.
And and on the right side, they want nothing to change.
Right.
And it's like, right, but instead of instead of coming together in the middle, you're just pushing the fucking pendulum back and forth, and we end up with all this extreme shit.
Right. Like if I had a small child and there was going to be a gay pride parade down in Provincetown,
right,
and I had a small child and I wanted to take my small child to see it, and I dressed my small child in a gay pride shirt, right, because I'm supportive, and
that's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You're not indoctrinating. All you're teaching is tolerance and acceptance, and that not everybody might have the same ideals as you, but that's okay. You don't have to partake.
Exist, right?
Right.
It's about allowing people to live.
Right. And you want to teach the children, let everybody live the life they want to live. Again, you don't have to join them, but understand that they exist and respect them for their choices that they made. Your choices you make might be different, but that doesn't mean we can't coexist and everything is cool. That's what you should be doing to raise your children. And if you want them, and if you're trying to be supportive because they're wearing a rainbow shirt, what's wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So that's the thing, is that I don't think Target is in the wrong for having pride clothes for kids.
Right.
Where it gets kind of, and again, I don't know.
Right.
But where it gets kind of weird for me is that they had like clothing for kids where you could like tuck.
Yeah.
Like that I don't understand. Like understand
right.
that.
But see, that becomes you're teaching them a sexuality. Right, because again, that's
like if you want to make clothes for teenagers, right? Because your hormones have come in at that point.
Sure.
And if you say, "Look, I'm a girl," right? Sure, okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
But I don't think a kid.
Right. I don't think you should be teaching that to a child of a really young age. I don't agree that should be.
That to me was
not
important.
Right, and I think that is what the boycott was about, is things like that.
But here's the problem again, is it's the extremism.
Right.
Because instead of, to me, that particular item of clothing is the only thing that I took issue with.
And that because that is different than
everything else.
Gay pride or I support, whatever. That's, again, there's nothing wrong with rainbow.
But the problem
shirts.
is because a lot of the people that want these out of the store are just like, get all of it out.
Right. That's the problem, though. There is no center. It's all or nothing.
But the center isn't vocal, right? And that's why I like to bring this stuff up, because I feel like we don't hear it enough. I feel like there's not enough. Hey, I think that Target having kids' clothing with Pride logos on it is fine. I think that Target having clothing for a kid that allows them to tuck is not. That's
right.
That's wrong.
You're on the wrong side there. Get rid of that.
That's one article.
Right. That was a mistake. Remove that, and the rest of the stuff can stay, and everything should be acceptable.
It goes for everything. I think Bud Light missed the mark with Dylan Mulvaney.
Sure.
I think that was a poor choice in the spokesman.
But see,
do I think you scorch the earth on Bud Light? No, but I also don't think that you isolate your audience and say, well, if you don't like this one spokesman, go fuck yourself.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, is like it's the polls just pulling everybody, and it's like, no.
Yeah, and then, you have the situation with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Right?
Go ahead. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
So,
obviously, Call of Duty is a huge video game, $1 billion a year.
And I guess a gamer, Nick Merckx, was going to have
he's big in the streaming community,
right? And he was going to have his own skin or whatever.
Yeah, so they do skins, and they were going to do a Nick Merckx skin.
And so, one of the things he came out and said was, leave children alone. I don't know why we're focusing anything towards children. Just leave children alone, right? Very benign statement, which, again, everybody should be in agreement with that statement. That is not homophobic. That is not racist. That is just, children should not be targeted to anything.
Right.
Just leave them alone.
I mean, we target kids with advertising. Like,
you know what I'm saying.
We shouldn't be doing that.
Right. but specifically targeting them to things that they should not be, that is not age appropriate.
Do you know why he said it? Did he just say it randomly one day?
Was
it in an interview?
I think
or
it was
it?
in a conversation of something.
Yeah.
He was just basically he was having a conversation.
Somebody must have brought up pride or something.
And it was just one of those things where he just
like,
said,
"Hey, look, I support the pride community. I just I said, like the tucking thing was weird."
Right. And Call of Duty, somebody took offense to say, "Hey, that's homophobic during Pride Month."
Right.
And Call of Duty decided they're going to pull the campaign.
Oh, they scorched the earth with them?
Right. And so now again, like you said, Call of Duty is a very giant game. Well, the gaming community has now boycotted Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is going to have, they have a new game coming out.
Yeah, November. And
some of the top streamers have been on streaming where they're wiping out Call of Duty. They're taking it off, and they're telling people to stop, don't buy Call of Duty, and they're going to get killed now with
the
sales.
Problem is, right? The problem is that instead of being able to sit down and have a conversation about it, everyone just wants to jump. Everyone just wants to participate in the culture war, and it's just like, I would say that most normal human beings are not trying to genocide the trans community.
No, not at all.
There are people out there that are.
Sure.
And
that's to any
race.
With
anything.
There's that's never going to go away.
My point
fully.
to it is that if he clarified what he meant, he should be given the opportunity to clarify. And if what he meant was, look, like I said, the pride clothing for kids, cool. The tucking clothing for kids, not cool.
Right.
If it's something along those lines,
that is what it was. It was just like, hey, if you want to, I have nothing with anything wrong with trans or gay. Just don't come at kids. Don't try to indoctrinate kids.
Right. But I mean, on the other side of it, it's just like, I don't know that if I was a Twitch streamer or whatever the fuck he is, I don't know that I would want to touch that. That's not my pool.
Sure. But I mean, again, it's a benign statement that I think everybody should be on board with. Like, we shouldn't be doing anything to young children. Like, we should not be trying to go after them in that capacity.
To be fair, I don't disagree with you. But one, I guess it's just more like looking at the environment, right? It's just like that topic, unfortunately, is a minefield.
It is. But the problem is that you can't, but
if people are too afraid to talk about it, then it'll always be a minefield.
But the thing is, we can't just all of a sudden hear a few people on Twitter say, well, you can't say that. That's homophobic during Pride Month, and all of a sudden that's taken as law. That's not homophobic. That is not a homophobic statement whatsoever.
Right.
And if somebody wants to claim it is, that's a you problem.
Well,
that's your problem to feel that way.
What's happened in the last 6 years, right? We saw kind of the mainstream cancel culture movement come to fruition. We saw the Me Too movement come to which at its beginnings, very important.
Right.
And I think this is just kind of the evolution of all of it.
Sure.
Is that we've gotten to a point where, there are still monsters out there. But a lot of them have, we got rid of Weinstein. And
right.
And there are still bad men and women out there, right? But it's not like it was at the beginning, because we have the awareness now. We're aware of the sexual exploitation that these fuckers are doing. It's in the light a bit more. Same thing with the trans community. We're aware of you. It's a lot more forward.
Right. But the thing is now, right? So, like, say, obviously we have Namor.
Yeah,
who's
Namor.
Now
Namor
got something against him, right? kind of like with Jonathan Majors, right?
Oh, they hit him with an assault charge?
Right. So here's somebody that came out and said he's a sexual predator.
Okay.
Okay. And so now his name is getting dragged through the mud.
Right.
Much like Jonathan Majors, right? But Jonathan Majors, okay, we got, there's a lot of other people are coming forward now, too.
Well,
there's a little bit more smoke.
It's tricky when it's just one person.
Right.
If it's just one person, you get into that he said, she said situation.
Right.
But if it's one person and then 10 others come out, even if only half of them are telling the truth, it's still half of them.
Right. But the thing is, you got this, you got a woman who's an activist, a well-known activist,
right,
comes out and is saying this. And so...
that he assaulted her or something?
Right, that he's a sexual predator, that he assaulted her, right? And he came out and he's like, we were in a consensual relationship. None of that stuff ever occurred. And so now you've got the he said, she said, right? And because we have the Weinsteins, but we also have the Amber Heards, right? So now,
right. But my point to
you
it
can't
is,
believe
right,
anybody until
if other women came forward on him and said, like, no, he is. Okay, well, now we have some credibility.
Right, exactly. But that's not what we've got right now. So, the problem is that, to my point of all this is we can't just have a single person or a couple people say something and then run with that. We can't have a couple people go on Twitter and be mad that this guy said this, and then he's, we're shutting down whole campaigns on gaming because a couple people came forward and said that my point of view is this.
Right, but it gets even more, it's even more murky than that. It's like, look, the Cleopatra show on Netflix sucks.
Right.
It's not because anybody's racist towards it. It sucks because it sucks.
Right, and that's the same thing with The Little Mermaid, right? The Little Mermaid, we heard for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, overseas, they're racist. Well, then Across the Spiderverse comes out.
And it kills.
Then Transformers the following week comes out.
Right.
And it kills.
Right.
And the two humans are black. The two leads. So you lose your argument.
Right.
And your argument is done.
What ends up happening is we're using these words, racism, homophobia, misogyny, where they don't belong.
Right.
And so those awful things lose some of their power because I think it's racist to profile someone on the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's racist to say that Cleopatra wasn't black and the Jada Pinkett Smith show sucks.
Right.
That has nothing to do
No.
with thinking anything is superior. It's not inferior because of her race. It's inferior because she sucks.
Right. Exactly.
And Spider-Verse is a testament to that.
Right. So it's like we have to, we have to stop, letting these people go onto the internet and just say whatever they want.
Right, but they're throwing out, again, what if you called someone homophobic or racist, 3-4 years ago, that had some weight.
Sure.
But now, right, when you throw it around and say like, oh, people didn't like the Lord of the Rings show because they're racist, it's just like, what? So if you start ingraining that into the culture, right, it almost becomes like, well, you just say everything is racist.
Right,
but
that's the key word for failure now.
Right.
Like if you fail,
an ism.
Right, you're going to say that is the cause.
Right.
Not that my movie sucked or my TV show sucked. It's this. The ism is the reason why it failed. So what? We don't hold anybody accountable anymore. There is no accountability in Hollywood. And let me tell you, this whole writers' strike and then the actors may be striking soon as well within a couple weeks. This is going to be a full course correction because in a couple weeks, we have force majeure. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody's going to be able to get out of contracts here very soon.
It's going to be wild.
And so everybody's going to be able to... So if you don't like the writers, you're going to be able to cancel them without issue. If the actors are in contracts they don't want to be in anymore, they're going to be able to get out of them very soon.
Just to be clear, right? I'm obviously, I think writers should be paid fairly.
Sure.
But that being said, like if you start to pick apart the numbers that these fucking people make, they are making huge amounts of money already.
Right.
And again, I get it. The industry you're in has a lot of money, and I don't think that should be going towards the executives and everything. But it's like, I'm not sitting here crying for these people because it's just like, yeah, but you make $250,000 a year right now.
Right.
You know, it's things like that.
Yeah, and it's also, again, why is it, you know, this is the equivalent of a participation trophy, right? If you're going to give everybody a lift, right? Well, so what? Like the people that made She-Hulk deserve a raise, right? I mean, again,
but
there are some that
right,
probably do.
The thing is that, you know, they're a union, obviously, so they want to bring everybody up. But you would assume that it's like the writers of She-Hulk, like, don't fucking hire them again.
Well, that's the thing,
but
right?
They seem to be hiring them again,
right? And so you're going to continually get shitty shows. They're going to fail, and then, you know, because I'm hearing like Secret Invasion is about to come out.
Yeah.
Right? The critics saw the first 2 episodes. I'm hearing it sucks.
Yeah.
I'm hearing the first 2 episodes that have been watched already suck. They're like, nope, we thought we were getting something different. We thought maybe the MCU learned. They haven't.
Right.
This is the same shit.
But that's the thing is that it hasn't worked.
No.
It's not like, you know, we're back 4 or 5 different movies or shows and we're still feeling it out. It hasn't worked. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to change the course.
Right. And you know, but we have to stop blaming the fans for the failures of Hollywood.
But the problem is that you have things like Spiderverse and you have things like Last of Us, right? That are loved.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you're a homophobe. Well, I love The Last of Us. I think episode 3 of The Last of Us is some of the best television I've ever seen. You know, that episode is about a gay love story. Like, so how am I a homophobe if I don't like, you know, this, and this?
Right. Well, it's the same argument with The Little Mermaid, right? You don't like it because she's black.
It has nothing to do with her.
Let's take that out of it. What about the 5 or 6 other things I hate?
Right. The CGI looks like shit. You added an unnecessary hour. You know?
Right. What about the poor new songs? What about it? Just it looks terrible. What about the changes to the story that you've made? I can't. All of that goes out the window because the lead actress is black, and therefore I'm a racist because that's what you're telling me is the reason why I don't like it.
The issue is that instead of saying like, oh, you just don't like it because she's black, if I was her, I'd be pissed off because it's like, I'm trying to bring my community up. I'm trying to bring up other, women of color to be in lead roles, and you fucking stick me in this piece of shit.
Right.
Like, that's what they should be angry about. That's what the woman who played Cleopatra should be fucking mad about. Is like, you put me in this fucking hot piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, you're setting people back by making shitty shows and movies.
Right. And then, the thing is, but then when the following week a lead black actor has a movie come out and it's killing across the Spiderverse.
Yeah.
How do you use that? But you're still saying it's racism. Still, you're saying it's racism about The Little Mermaid. But how is that argument worth anything anymore?
Well, it's not, though. That's
right.
The whole thing, is that you can't have The Last of Us and you can't have the Spider-Verse if your argument is true.
Right.
Because if it was just racism or homophobia, then these things would fail.
Right.
And they're not.
Right. And other people have said the same point. Well, where are the racists for those movies? Where are the when...
And there are, but they're just quiet and in the fucking shadows.
No, but what I'm saying is, why is it that the Spider-Verse has a 97 for for both the audience
and the critics,
the verified audience and the unverified, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know how with Little Mermaid, it's like a 40,
yep.
and then they have it as like a 95, right? Because they locked it. But in actuality, it's like a 40.
Right.
But across the Spiderverse, it's both at a 95, and with Transformers, it's in the 90s as well. Now, again, the critics aren't crazy about Transformers,
Sure,
but the fans
and
are.
again, I'm sure you're not getting much out of Transformers, right?
No.
But if it's a fun summertime movie, right? Great.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have black leads
right.
2 weeks in a row after The Little Mermaid.
Right, blowing it out of the water.
Right. So your argument has now fallen, it's completely tone deaf at that point, but yet you're still saying
but
it.
What it does is it breeds insincerity, and then you lose your fan base. And I would say that most of the fans, again, have just turned on these companies because a vocal minority on either side of the aisle should not, be who's controlling the narrative.
Right. And that's why I think that, again, we're swinging the pendulum so far over to the other way now, and these boycotts are absolutely the result of that.
Right.
And again, short term, I think it's the smart play.
Well,
I think
you're trying to staunch a deep wound, right?
Right. So I think you have to bring back a level of control away from where it was in order to get it to center. But the problem is, it's never, it's going to get to center and then something is going to switch it to one way or the other in very short order, because it never stays at center, because we can't seem to make any type of agreement where, hey, this, again, we are inclusive.
Right.
Everybody should be fine with inclusivity.
But we don't need to keep browbeating the message. All right. With that, let's put this one to bed. Jim, as always enjoy having these conversations
Absolutely.
with you. What's going on?
Just getting the art out.
Yep.
Just check it.
Check it to the Spy versus Spy this week.
Spy versus Spy.
Yeah, I liked it. It came out real rad.
Mad Magazine love, since they aren't really around anymore. But just making sure the art gets out there every single week. Just check out the socials if you want to see new artwork. Absolutely come by and support if you feel the need.
All right, guys. So that's 58 of the corner. But let us. You know where we're at. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. In the 1200s now on the orders.
Awesome.
So cooking. But yeah, tell us what you guys think. I mean, have you seen Terrifier or Pearl or Evil Dead? Did you watch the Spiderverse? Are you a fan of John? Well, do you know who John Ramita is? And if so, are you upset by his passing, as most of us are? And are you going to boycott Call of Duty? All right, crew. We'll catch you on the next one.